There is an incredible picture of humility and pride in Jeremiah chapter 13. God tells Jeremiah to buy a belt. Then he says, take that belt that's supposed to be clinging to the man, part of the man, always with the man, and go bury it. And then many days later, come back and pick it out of the ground. And when he does, he sees that the belt is ruined. Actually, the scripture says here in chapter 13, it is worthless. God uses the belt, which is made to cling to a man's waist. He uses this as his imagery of be for me a people. God connects the image of a belt that clings to the man, stays with the man as his people with him. Then the pride of his people he likens to the belt being removed from the man, distanced from the man, and then sunk into the soil of the earth. This to me is so indicative of what Jeremiah goes on to say is walking in their own stubbornness and their own pride, specifically refusing to listen. The belt becomes completely worthless because of distance, and in distance being sunk into the soil of the earth. I find that this happens many times with our pride. When we begin to get prideful within ourselves, we distance ourselves from Him, and we quickly find ourselves sinking into the things of this world, the thinking of the world, the reasoning of the world, the value system of the world. Our hearts are hardened like the world. Our mouth begins to be like the world. Our time, our energy, our effort all begins to look like the world, sinking deep into the world. And we know this, it only corrupts and ruins and makes a man worthless. God says that this is the imagery of going after other gods, which means looking to other things to be your satisfaction. I've been reading Madame Guyon's biography recently, and she said she sought in the creature what could only be found in God. That was her error in life. And I find it's exactly what's being said here in Jeremiah 13, that they went after other gods, looked for satisfaction in other things. He says they're not listening is connected with haughtiness in this chapter. He goes on to say that they have forgotten Him. God sees pride, forgetting Him, forsaking Him, looking after other things, looking to be satisfied by other things as unclean. He sees it as not being His people. I say this to say that I've been feeling recently like the Lord really convicting my heart of areas of pride in my life, areas of pride in the way that I see myself, other people, even my pursuit of God. You know, Thomas Brooks once wrote, Satan is so subtle. He will make a man proud of his graces, his gifts. He will make him proud that he's not proud. He goes on to say, pride, a secret poison, a hidden plague. It is the engineer of deceit, the mother of hypocrisy, the opponent of mercy, the moth of holiness, the blinder of hearts. It turns medicine into maladies and remedies into diseases. What an incredible way to look at it. He goes on to say also, all other sins are aversions from God, but pride is being directly opposed to Him. And lastly, he says, pride looks more at its worth than its need. A humble soul blushes at the sight of his own righteousness, and he glories in this one thing, that he has the righteousness of Christ to live upon. I feel in my own life like God is telling me humility and clinging are inseparable. Like a belt, clinging to the Lord, never leaving Him, staying right where He is, This is the essence of humility. And pride, in its independence, distances itself from his person and then quickly sinks down into the things of this world and becomes ruined quickly. As a matter of fact, if it stays that way, God says in Jeremiah 13, it is worthless. So I encourage you that this is the goal that God has for us, that we would cling to him, and that this is the essence of a humble character and a humble man. We cling to you, oh my God. Jeremiah says in chapter 13 here about this pride, he says, my soul will sob in secret for such pride. He says, my eyes will bitterly weep and flow down with tears. He's speaking specifically about a pride that will not listen to the Lord. A pride that distances itself from needing the Lord. A pride that is focused on its own graces, its own disciplines, its own spirituality, and has lost the clinging to the person of the Lord that keeps us. Remember, guys, we are in the last days. The Lord is coming. He is coming with the clouds, with great power and glory. And this is what Jesus says in light of his coming. He says, be on guard. In other words, something's coming against you. You have to protect yourself, be diligent, be alert to him, so that your hearts will not be weighted down with dissipation, being completely spread thin all over the place, dissolving by distractions and drunkenness and the worries of this life. This is Jesus's admonition in light of his return. Be on guard so that your hearts will not be weighted down with dissipation, the worries of this life. He goes on to say, keep on the alert at all times, praying so that you may have strength. He's not saying praying for strength, but remaining in communion is your strength. So keep on the alert, not alert to the things that are going on, not alert to other people, not alert to this world's ways, but alert to him, in constant communion with him, so that you can be strengthened by him to escape all these things that are about to take place and stand before the Son of Man. We need strength to stand before the Son of Man when he returns. And that strength comes from living in constant alertness and communion with him. This is the key. This is being on guard so that our hearts will not be weighted down. Blessings to you. We are near the end. He is here. He is with us, and he is coming. Blessing and honor and glory be to his name. Look up, my friends, and see the coming of the Lord. Today, this morning, throughout the day, constantly looking to the coming of the Lord. And I'm telling you, his coming now in your precious heart and fellowship with him is a foretaste of the coming of the splitting of the skies, when he will set his feet upon the earth and rule and reign from Jerusalem forever. I declare unto you, the Son of Man. Thank you so much for all your support on this channel, all of you who have become $1 a month patrons to help us. It helps us tremendously. I cannot tell you how much it helps us. We are calling the bride to get ready for the coming of the Son of Man.